It was supposed to be an easy Friday night, a simple meetup at the local bar after another long week at work. The kind of evening where laughter rolled over clinking glasses and no one cared about the time. But that night, laughter had sharp edges. Claire sat beside me, her hand loosely around her drink, her laughter a little too loud, a little too forced. I could sense something simmering beneath her calm face. She'd been distant all week, snapping over small things, forgotten dishes, late replies, or the way I breathed too close when she was reading. I told myself she was just tired. I wanted to believe it. Our friends, Mike, Jenna, and a few others, were deep in some half-drunk conversation about marriage jokes. The usual stuff. I played along, smiling, trying to match their energy. But then, out of nowhere, Claire cut in with a sharp tone that made the table fall silent. "Oh, please," she said, rolling her eyes. "Ryan can't even keep his own house together. You think he'd survive marriage counseling?" The laughter that followed was awkward. It wasn't playful teasing. It was mockery. My throat tightened. Everyone looked at me, waiting for a reaction, but I just forced a chuckle. "Yeah, I guess I'm the problem," I said lightly, but my hands were already cold around my glass. She didn't stop there. "No, seriously?" she continued, her words spilling faster now. "You'd think by 32 a man would learn how to listen or at least pretend he cares." Jenna looked uncomfortable. Mike shot me a glance that said, "Man, are you okay?" I wasn't. It's strange how humiliation burns slower than anger. It doesn't explode right away. It simmers under your ribs, spreading like quiet poison. I took a sip of my beer, trying to swallow it down. But my mind kept replaying her tone, her smirk, the pitying glances around the table. "Claire," I said softly, leaning toward her. "Can we not do this here?" She sighed dramatically. "Oh, come on, Ryan, don't make it a thing." I'm joking, but she wasn't joking. I could see it in her eyes, half annoyance, half guilt, but mostly the thrill of control. The rest of the night crawled. Conversations moved on, but I wasn't part of them anymore. I was there physically, but mentally locked in that moment, that sting of public embarrassment. When we finally left the bar, the air outside felt thick and heavy. The sound of the city was distant, muffled like I was underwater. Claire walked ahead of me, heels clicking on the pavement, her shoulders stiff. I followed a few steps behind, saying nothing. Halfway to the car, she stopped suddenly and turned. Her face had softened, the sharpness replaced by something fragile. "Hey," she said quietly. "Don't be mad, okay?" I didn't mean it like that, I met her eyes. "You meant every word," I replied. "You just didn't mean to say it out loud." She blinked fast, her lips trembling a little. "Ryan, please, calm down." "I love you." The words hung between us like smoke, soft, heavy, and hard to breathe through. Love. She used it like a bandage over a wound she'd just opened. I wanted to believe her, but part of me wondered if love was supposed to feel like this, like constantly bleeding from invisible cuts. I unlocked the car without another word. She slipped in beside me, quiet now, her earlier confidence gone. The silence was worse than the shouting. It filled every corner of that car, pressing on my chest until I could barely think straight. That night I drove in circles for hours before going home. Not because I was lost, but because I didn't want to face what her words had revealed. When we got home, the house felt colder than usual. It wasn't the air conditioning, it was the silence. The kind that hums in your ears and fills the spaces where words should be. Claire slipped off her shoes by the door and walked straight to the bedroom without a glance back. I stood in the hallway staring at the faint lipstick mark on her glass from earlier, still imagining the laughter that followed her words. For a long time, I didn't move. I just listened, to the faint creak of the floorboards, to my own heartbeat trying to slow down. Then I finally walked into the bedroom. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, elbows on her knees, her face buried in her hands. "I shouldn't have said that," she murmured when she heard me. Her voice was softer now, stripped of the sharp edge it carried at the bar. "You think?" I said quietly. My tone wasn't angry anymore, it was tired. "You embarrassed me in front of people I've known for years." She looked up, her eyes red but dry. "I don't know why I do that. Sometimes when I drink, things come out wrong. You know I didn't mean to hurt you." I leaned against the doorframe, crossing my arms. "The problem is, Claire, when you're angry, you tell the truth. You just blame the alcohol so you can take it back later." Her lips parted like she wanted to argue, but no words came. Instead, she looked down again, her hands twisting in her lap. "I love you," she whispered. Even when I'm stupid, even when I screw up, I do love you. It was the same line she'd used outside the bar, and somehow it felt emptier the second time. Love wasn't supposed to feel like damage control. I sat down in the chair across from her.
Do you? I asked.
Because I don't think love should sound like humiliation in front of our friends. I don't think it should make me feel small, she exhaled shakily. You don't understand, Ryan, I get scared sometimes. Scared that you'll stop caring, that you'll drift away. I try to make jokes or control the conversation, and it just comes out wrong. Her honesty should have made me feel closer to her, but instead, it made me feel like I was holding something fragile that kept cutting my hands. I stayed quiet for a long time. The clock ticked on the nightstand. Somewhere outside, a car drove by, its headlights flashing through the window. Finally, I said, then maybe we both need to stop pretending this is fine. You keep testing how far you can push before I break, and I keep forgiving you, hoping you'll stop. She looked up then, her eyes glassy. So what are you saying? I'm saying I'm tired, I said. Tired of proving my worth to the person who's supposed to see it already. A tear rolled down her cheek. Please don't say that, please. I'm not walking away, I said softly. But I can't keep patching up something you keep tearing apart. She reached for my hand hesitantly. I'll fix it. I promise, promises. I'd heard them before. After the fights, the apologies, the cold mornings that followed the hot words. They were always temporary. Like paper walls that crumbled with the next storm. I pulled my hand away gently and stood. Then start with yourself, I said. Because I can't keep being the one who bleeds for your lessons. That night I slept on the couch. She didn't follow me and I didn't expect her to. In the early hours I woke to the sound of the bedroom door creaking open. Claire stood there quietly, wrapped in her blanket, her face pale in the dim light. Ryan, she said softly, I'm sorry. I know, I replied. She lingered for a moment, like she wanted to say more, but then turned and went back to bed. When morning came, she made coffee without a word. We sat across from each other, pretending to read the news, pretending everything wasn't different. She looked up once, her eyes searching mine. I gave her a small nod. Not forgiveness, not yet, but acknowledgement. Sometimes regret isn't loud. It's quiet, sitting between two people who both realize they went too far. And as I sipped my coffee, I thought about how love can survive anger, even betrayal, but rarely survives repeated disrespect. That day, I didn't promise her anything. I just decided that next time she tested my calm, I wouldn't answer with silence. I'd answer with distance, because sometimes the most painful lesson you can teach someone is what your absence feels like.